In the next 24 months, the way companies make decisions will be unrecognizable. Microsoft alone is investing $80 billion this year into artificial intelligence, the largest investment in the company's history. And on finance floors across the world, one feeling now rules: fear. Is AI about to replace the controller, the analyst, the manager? The short answer is no. AI will not replace you. But a manager who actually understands AI, that person will replace you, without a doubt. And the quiet revolution setting all of this in motion begins in a place no one expects, with the death of the traditional dashboard. This is the story of how data is taking over power and how you stay on the right side of that line. To understand what is at stake, look at how your company makes decisions today. Someone asks a question. An analyst spends 2 days stitching numbers out of 10 different systems into a report. And by the time it reaches the meeting, it is already a photograph of yesterday. That entire ritual, and maybe your role in it, is about to be rewritten. Stay with me, because part 3 is going to change how you see this completely. Let us start with what is really happening behind the closed doors of Microsoft. That $80 billion is not going to advertising. It is going to data centers, to compute, to AI. More than double what the company spent on its entire cloud over 4 years. The goal? To offer artificial intelligence not as a toy on the side, but as a layer that sits on top of every company's data. The name of that layer is Copilot, and the foundation underneath it is called Microsoft Fabric, with a central data layer they call OneLake, a lake of data. Picture it, all the information in your organization, sales, inventory, finance, customers, no longer scattered across 15 Excel files and just as many systems, but brought together in a single place. One source, one truth. Because in the age of AI, every project is now a data project. And technically, that is a breakthrough. Where companies used to copy their data endlessly from one system to another, in OneLake, the data stays in one place. Every workload, whether it is reporting, data science, or real-time analytics, runs on exactly the same numbers. No more 10 versions of the truth. No more arguing in the meeting about whose figures are correct. For the first time, the entire organization is talking to the same dataset. And this is not some distant future. 28,000 companies already run on Fabric, including 80% of the Fortune 500. Copilot is already handling nearly 1 billion queries every single day. Banks, insurers, manufacturers, retailers, rolling it out across thousands of desks at once. The question in every boardroom is no longer if, but how fast. And this is exactly where it becomes terrifying for the traditional manager. Because picture the following. A CEO opens Microsoft Teams. He types, no formula. He builds no report. He simply types, Copilot, why did our profit margin in the South region drop by 4% this month? And within 2 seconds, the answer appears. Backed up, with numbers, with charts, complete. What used to take an analyst 2 days now happens in front of your eyes in real time. At the company behind Office Depot, data that once took 24 hours to reach employees now arrives in seconds. No more outdated reports, no more dragging numbers out of 10 systems by hand. The promise is seductive. Just ask and the machine answers. And this fundamentally changes the nature of work. For decades, business data revolved around reports. Someone asked a question, an analyst built a report, and days later, an answer came back. With Copilot, data becomes a conversation. You ask follow-ups. Why did that margin drop? Which customers did we lose? What happens if I raise my price by 5%? And the machine answers, instantly, in natural language. The distance between a question and a solid answer shrinks to almost nothing. And look at what dies as a result. The weekly ritual where an entire team spends days building a report, which then gets reviewed in a meeting, and afterwards disappears into a folder forever. That static dashboard, that photograph of yesterday, is dying. Not because data becomes unimportant, but because no one waits for a photograph when they can have a conversation with their numbers. This is the death of the dashboard as we knew it. And this is exactly where it gets personal. Because if a machine does in 2 seconds what a team used to need days for, what is left of that job? This is the question now haunting every head office. And the honest answer is uncomfortable. The analyst who only pulled numbers from systems and pasted them into a report, that role disappears. But before you panic, you need to know something. Because that entire shiny promise from Microsoft has a giant unspoken problem. Because here comes the plot twist Microsoft does not tell you in its glossy ads. That AI, the one answering so confidently, it lies. Not on purpose, but structurally, and it has a name: hallucination. An AI model is not trained to tell the truth. It is trained to sound convincing, to be plausible. Unleash an AI on a messy folder full of Excel files, half-filled databases, and columns nobody understands anymore, and something dangerous happens. The AI starts guessing. It invents the missing number with complete confidence. To truly understand this, you need to know how such a model works. A language model does not understand your business. It does not calculate the way a controller calculates. It predicts, word by word, the most likely answer to your question. It is, in essence, an incredibly sophisticated guessing machine. And as long as the underlying data is perfect, complete, and organized, it guesses brilliantly. But feed it garbage, and it keeps guessing in that exact same confident tone. Programmers have had a term for this for decades: garbage in, garbage out. Put rubbish into a system, and rubbish comes out. Only now, it is wrapped in a beautiful, professional-looking answer that no human questions anymore. Think of it this way. Artificial intelligence is a Ferrari, ridiculously fast, ridiculously powerful. But put that Ferrari on a road full of holes and craters, your messy data, and it crashes hard. Let me make it concrete. Say a board asks Copilot which product line is the most profitable. The AI searches through the files it was given, but in one export, revenue is shown including tax, and in another, excluding it. A margin column turns out to be half manually filled in. The AI does not see that. It calculates anyway and presents the wrong winner with total conviction. The board cuts the wrong product line. Nobody caught it because the answer looked perfect. And the bill for this is enormous because a human who is unsure says, "I am not certain, let me check." An AI that hallucinates never says that. It presents its fabrication with the same conviction as a hard fact. Imagine that wrong number ending up in an annual report, in a filing to the bank, in the decision to close a factory. The legal and financial consequences are incalculable. And the scariest part? Nobody notices because the answer looks professional. This is the real danger of the AI revolution. Not that the machine becomes too smart, but that we trust it blindly while it races down a broken road. An AI that hallucinates about your cash flow, your inventory, or your margins feeds your leadership wrong numbers, and decisions worth millions get made based on a fabrication. So the question is not whether you deploy AI. The question is, what do you let it drive on? So we are left with a paradox. The most powerful technology ever built for business is at the same time the most dangerous, as long as it runs on messy data. The big AI companies have known this for a long time, and their answer has a name. The AI must be grounded in a reliable, controlled source. Not guessing, but looking up the answer in a truth that you have defined. And that brings us to the part almost nobody talks about: the solution. And this brings us to the solution, and to the reason the dashboard is not dying, but becoming more important than ever. Because to be reliable, every AI needs one thing: a single source of truth. A perfectly structured, controlled, visual data model in which there is no room for guesswork. But what exactly is that reliable source? It is not a folder full of loose files. It is a semantic model. Think of it as a translation layer between your raw data and the human. It defines, this is what revenue means. This is how we calculate margin. These tables belong together, and this figure always includes tax. It is the structure that guarantees a question always returns the same correct answer. And that, precisely that, is what a modern Power BI model does. In 2026, Power BI is no longer just a picture with charts. It is the semantic model, the foundation that Microsoft Copilot runs on top of. And do not take my word for it. Microsoft writes it themselves, literally in their own documentation. Without a properly prepared semantic model, Copilot produces answers that are inaccurate, incorrect, or even outright misleading. Without a solid Power BI model, AI inside your company is simply blind. And Microsoft is crystal clear about what that solid model requires. Clear descriptions on every table and every column, so the AI understands what they mean. Unique names, so the machine does not get confused between two fields that are called the same thing. A cleaned-up model without 100 unused tables that only add noise. And a clean, proven structure. A star schema. This is not cosmetics. This is the difference between an AI you can trust and an AI that drives your business off a cliff. So the manager who wins is not the one who fears AI, and not the one who trusts it blindly. It is the one who has the foundation in order, clean data, a watertight model, one truth. You stop being the person who builds the report, and you become the architect of the truth the entire company runs on. That is the difference between a business amplified by AI and one that is quietly misled by it. And here lies the real opportunity. Because while everyone panics and grabs for the newest AI tool, the smart manager understands that the real work sits underneath. Not in buying Copilot, but in building the foundation Copilot reliably runs on. Whoever controls that foundation controls the AI. That is no longer an IT chore. That is strategy at the highest level. Do you want to lead as a manager or business owner and make your company AI ready without your numbers starting to hallucinate? We build the data structures and the Power BI dashboards that transform your organization into a true single source of truth. Book a free data audit through the link in the description. The future does not belong to whoever has the most data. It belongs to whoever trusts the right data. Make sure you are on the right side of that line.